anyone's watching this and wondering why there's a constant helicopter, it's just this helicopter's been following you now for 3 days, right? And like
This guy?
You're just this famous.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Two of us, it's me. I am that famous that this helicopter keeps following me everywhere I go. Hi guys, what's up? Thank you so much for watching Mostly Sane. I'm Pradikta and good morning. We're in New York City. We're at the UN headquarters and we're with someone very, very special. I've been blushing all morning about this conversation, so I'm very happy that we finally made it. Hi, Nikolaj.
Hi, nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you. I'm just going to say it so that it doesn't kind of loom over the whole conversation. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you so much.
And it's very nice to meet you. We were supposed to... Do you want to go have a seat?
Yes.
We were supposed to meet last year and that didn't quite happen. I was heartbroken. So I'm very happy that it's happening now. So, I'm not going to spend time in introducing him. We're all very huge fans back home in India. I'm just very happy that I get to be here. To start with, do you want to tell us why you're here?
Well, I'm here because I'm a goodwill ambassador for the UNDP, and I'm here I've been talking about climate action. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Also, we've seen you in, obviously, but there's also a very special film you've made around climate.
Yes, I did a docu-series called An Optimist Guy to the Planet, where we traveled to 5 continents, and we just met incredible people who've come up with solutions, ways to make the world a more sustainable place to live.
And if you had, well, first of all, where can we watch this?
You can watch it. You can watch it on YouTube. Okay. So it's go to An Optimist Guide to the Planet. There's 6 episodes, and I'm very proud of that because the fun thing about one of the big challenges I find when it comes to climate change and climate action is that the narrative of doomsday is a constant thing. And through my work here with the UNDP, I've been traveling the world to see projects all over, and I always walked away from these experiences being filled with hope, because I met people who did something, who acted. And in a place like this, sometimes it becomes very much about words, and you kind of need to see action, see things happening. And then here, of course, you hear these insane numbers all the time, like $1 trillion here, $1 trillion there, and for most people it becomes like, that has nothing to do with me. I mean, I'm just, most people in this world are just trying to make ends meet. So the idea that suddenly you have to carry the burden of change is overwhelming. So what I wanted to do was to do a show where I say, listen, there is no one solution to this. It's so many different solutions, but they are happening, and they're happening both in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in North America, in India. And, I'm hoping later this year to come to India too, because I know that some of the smartest people in the world are in India, and I know that when it comes to finding new ways, new sustainable ways to do farming, to do energy, that is all happening in India. I can't wait.
Thank you so much for saying that. Also, going back to what you just mentioned about just overall simplified conversations around climate action, right? I started working with the UNDP 2 years ago. I work as their youth climate champion for India. And I remember one of the first few days of being in that role just involved a lot of homework, because I'll be honest, I hadn't done any climate action work before that. One of my first questions to them was, why me? Like, why are you working with me? I have done absolutely no work. There are champions outside who are doing a lot of work. And that's when they said that, Pradikta, you have your social platforms, you have impact. I said, okay, fair enough. And I was 28 when I started working on it. I had spent a lot of time on the internet, and still terms like carbon footprint weren't clear to me. And I have had an education. I have spent my life trying to be as well aware about my life about my planet as I can be, but I still kind of kept reaching these places where I was like, I don't know what these terms mean, or I don't know how I can help. And that is a question that a lot of younger people have, where they're like, okay, we want to be a part of this fight, but we don't know how to start, because most conversations are pie diagrams and graphs and charts and numbers, and that's very complex to understand. How would you simplify this conversation for younger people?
Well, it's complex to everyone. And I think that sometimes I get the sense that, a lot of those numbers and diagrams are thrown out there in a way to avoid actually telling the story. It looks very impressive, but nobody understands it. Yeah. young people, older people, nobody gets it. It's just oh wow, this is above my pay grade. What I think is important is that common sense is a very strong power, and I think a lot of these things actually boils down to this. We know that we are overspending the resources of this planet. It's very simple, and we can all do little things to minimize our imprint. But it's not up to the individual to change the world. We can't. We have to help the politicians. We have to support the leaders making the right decisions. And an example would be, power, energy. We know we have a massive need for power. We're going to have even more need for energy, especially now with AI, which is going to take so much energy. But we also know that, now at least in India, the progress that is being made in solar, in wind, in hydropower is immense. So let's just trust that these decisions are being made, and they are being made, so that you don't have to. You don't have to feel guilty every time you turn on the lights in your home. It's not like that. It's about common sense and supporting each other, and then let's stop the blame game, because I don't think that if someone's because it's like in any relationship, if you're with your partner, your boyfriend or your wife or your husband, and you start, we all know those discussions where you start, you're unhappy with something and then you blame the other. And when you're being blamed for something, you kind of go, yeah, I don't want to be part of this. I'm with you. I don't understand all these numbers, and it's overwhelming, and you don't have to. It's absolutely okay. But use your common sense. Use less when you can, and
not your common sense, like energy. Use energy less when you can.
Use energy less, consume a little less. Just be smart about these things. And there's not one solution to this problem. There's going to be so many things. But I also do believe that hope is important. When you look at what humans have done in history, we are pretty incredible. And yes, we've created a mess. But it's not all bad, If you look at, like, here we have like the 17 sustainable development goals. Like, we have this thing about clean water, better education, healthcare, gender equality, and all these parameters. If you look over the last 25, 30, 40 years, we're doing so much better. That doesn't mean we've reached the goal line. There's still so much more to do. And we're making effort. Like, I'm talking to you now. 20 years ago, you would have been a guy, and that's massive, right? No, but that, like the fact that.
Sorry, what, 20 years
no,
ago I would have been. Huh?
No, I'm saying like that you as a
like
woman.
that. I was like.
No, but I think, like, for example, gender equality is half the population in the world needs to be seen, heard, engaged. That is a massive thing, but of course, when it comes to that, we still have, 50 countries in the world that are dealing with discrimination against women. We have to change that. I know in India you also have challenges when it comes to gender equality, and that has to be addressed. So, but of course, the changing climate action, it's kind of this big, massive thing that kind of has the potential, if we don't do anything, to really hurt us in a big way. But I just think it's so important to focus on the fact that we are doing something, and it's happening everywhere.
I'm with you on that. Honestly, sometimes conversations around climate get very pessimistic, and it's tough to see hope. Like sometimes, so I have a lot of viewers that are very, very young. When I meet them, this is a very common conversation that happens with them, where they're like, Prajakta, we love that video you did about that thing about climate action. But, at the end of it, that person spoke about how, like, this is happening anyway. So why should we make an effort? Like, is it even going to happen? So I'm glad that there are stories of hope that are being told now. There are stories of successes that are being shared now, because that is important.
But also, it's so important, like, especially for young people, because the doomsday scenario is, as you said, you go, well, there's nothing I can do, so why even bother? Well, there is things being done, and what you should focus on when you're really young, when you get smarter, educate yourself, but most important, just live your life. don't feel like the whole guilt thing. We have to get away from that. I think that's very, very important. It's a massive transition.
Yeah.
It is happening. It's going to take. We need to speed it up. We wanted to make the right choices. But yes, the doomsday scenario, it doesn't work.
Has there ever been a story? I mean, you've been working with climate for so many years now.
Mm-hmm.
Has there ever been a story that's really stuck with you that you keep going back to for hope?
Well, there's a lot of stories that I have that gives me hope. I think there's just a couple. I was in Africa, and I was talking to this farmer. He was Maasai, and they believed it was called Nashalai, how the balance between humans and nature, how to find that, and how they used to have it, because that's also part of what's important is that there's so many solutions that we used to have, and we kind of forgot because we were so focused on making things cheaper and faster and bigger. And he was just saying, listen, we've actually been able to reverse the loss of biodiversity by basically just very simply pulling down the fences that was been built, the fences that were keeping the animals from moving, and it's made a massive difference. And it was just inspiring because it was such a simple thing, but it had a massive impact. And another was I was in Germany, and I was talking to this engineer. He was an older guy. He'd worked at this power plant his whole life, and they just transformed that from a coal power plant to a hydrogen power plant. And he said, 20 years ago, we had these windmills in Northern Europe, and I looked at them and I was like, yeah, that's sweet, but it's never going to be enough. Today, just 20 years later, they produce more power than we can actually use. So we need to be able to store this energy. And to hear him talk about how this just blew his mind, that just in 20 years, we've been able to create renewable energy on such a scale that we didn't believe it was possible 20 years ago. It gives me real hope.
I always love asking this to anyone who's...
Can I just say, by the way, if anyone's watching this and wondering why there's a constant helicopter, it's just this helicopter's been following you now for 3 days, right? And
this guy?
You're just this famous.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Between the two of us, it's me. I am that famous that this helicopter keeps following me everywhere I go.
Unbelievable. So if the sound was confusing anyone, yeah, it must be tough.
Yeah. It's a tough life being this famous international actor of one of the biggest series made ever. But coming back to...
yes.
Yeah.
I interrupted your flow. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying anytime I talk to anyone who's working in climate, I always like to ask them that there's things that you do, like the docuseries that you made, that is you basically pushing the envelope with your conversation. We're trying to get more people involved, making it a more inclusive conversation, making it easier to understand with storytelling. What's the one actionable change you've made in your personal life, in your everyday life, that kind of helps you reach your goals quicker? And though it could be something as simple as just recycling.
Yes, recycling, and that's a good example. You cannot do something on your own. For me, recycling was always you want to recycle, but then you had to take it, you had to drive somewhere with your stuff, and you had to do it, and yes, you did it, but sometimes it's I'm just going to put it in the trash. Then the country I live in suddenly they said, okay, listen, we're going to have to put this we have to organize this. So now they put up all these bins outside our house. And now I recycle all the time because it makes complete sense. It's accessible, it's easy, and we all do it together. It's no longer like, oh, look at that crazy guy recycling. Everybody's doing it, and it has a real impact. My point is just, you're never on your own, and this idea that you can sit and then you can live your life frugally and have zero imprint on the world. Great for you. But the only way this is going to change is if we all do it together, and that means that our governments, our leaders, have to step up and help us. Because I don't believe, and maybe you disagree, but I don't think there's anyone who don't want a better tomorrow. I don't think there's anyone, whether they're old or young, who don't want to create a better world, who don't want to protect our nature, protect our biodiversity. Everybody wants the same thing. So we need to help each other find solutions.
Got it. Love that. Now, the most important question.
Yes. I can't wait for that.
Books or book adaptations? What do you like more?
Well, I love books, but a great adaptation, it becomes two different animals, right? It's funny because I went to the theater yesterday and I saw a show called Water for Elephants. I love circus, and it just blew me away. It's based on a great book.
Yeah.
And there's also a movie, I think. So I don't think it's not a straight answer. Great adaptations are great, but there's something about the experience of reading a book on your own, being transported into another world, which is just absolutely wonderful.
What's your favorite book? Would you like? Is there a book that you keep going back to? Are you one of those readers, or are you like done and moving on to the next one?
I read a book, and now I'm just trying to remember because it was very last year. It was Clara and the Sun, and I recommend that to any young because it's. I read it. My daughter, teenager at the time, now she's 20. She recommended it, and it just it's beautiful, and it's about the future, and it's about a very near future. It's an incredible book, Clara and the Sun.
Clara and the Sun. Do you read romance fiction?
If there's no, do you have one you can recommend?
I'm writing one. May I send it to you?
Yes, please do.
Okay, good. All right. That was my shameless plug. But hey, thank you so much for doing this. I've had a great time talking to you, and I'm so glad that we could make this happen. And thank you so much for everything you're doing. Can't wait to watch the docuseries on YouTube.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was that. Love.